Invisible strings show unseen connections people have to certain subjects. These connections could be to other people, locations, events, identities, etc. Today, we will be talking about the invisible strings of abuse and how people you see every day may have hidden connections to domestic and sexual violence. For example, some people who may have a connection to domestic violence and sexual abuse could include your friend whose mother was previously in an abusive relationship. A classmate you've known for years could have experienced childhood abuse and you wouldn't even know. Your partner might even be friends with someone who's a survivor. You may even have family members who could have experienced abuse at one point or know someone who has. Some of you may be thinking, I haven't experienced abuse myself, but someone close to me has. Even though I wasn't directly affected, I still feel impacted by the situation. This is a perfectly normal feeling, and it shows you care about the person who was hurt. There are many people who call themselves secondary survivors in the same position. This is why domestic violence and sexual abuse should never be joked about. Whether it is directly or indirectly, you never know when someone could be connected to domestic violence or sexual abuse. In addition to primary survivors, the people who are directly impacted by domestic violence and sexual abuse, secondary survivors may also need support. This is due to the survivor being someone they care about, which can cause a secondary survivor to feel emotional distress. If you find that a loved one of yours has a connection to domestic violence or sexual abuse, here are 4 tips on how to support both primary and secondary survivors. Tip number 1, believe and validate them. When survivors are dealing with their trauma, they may have mixed feelings about what happened to them because of societal beliefs around victim blaming. When you're speaking with a survivor, it's very important to validate both their experiences and their feelings. Some ways you could express that could include saying, I believe you, it's not your fault, you didn't deserve this, etc. Tip number 2, avoid judgment. Survivors are often scared of being judged when they try to understand what happened to them, especially after experiencing something so painful. Each survivor goes through a unique journey, and as a supporter, you should be able to make room for their feelings and experiences. To show you hold no judgment toward them, avoid statements regarding the timing of their healing process. For example, avoid saying something like, you've been acting like this for too long, because this ignores the survivor's own timeline. Instead, say something like, everyone deals with their trauma in their own way. Take all the time you need. Tip number 3, acknowledge that this has impacted their life and let them know you're here for them. Some ways you can demonstrate this could be through saying, I can only imagine how tough this is. I'm glad you shared this with me. Additionally, being a supporter means meeting the survivor where they are. Do not push them to talk about things they aren't comfortable discussing yet. Let the survivor lead the conversation and set any boundaries needed. Tip number 4, self-care and boundaries. Being a supporter for a survivor can sometimes take an emotional toll on yourself. It's important to remember that in order to be a good supporter, you need to have the energy to do so. That being said, take time for yourself. Watch your favorite show, turn on Do Not Disturb, do whatever you need to do to make sure you're in a good headspace to give proper support to the survivor or the secondary survivor. Having boundaries are important, and though supporting a loved one yourself is often a natural response, remind yourself and whoever you're supporting that there are professional organizations like Haven who can help. If you or someone you know is or has experienced domestic or sexual violence, Haven, New Hampshire is here to help. We provide free and confidential services to survivors of all genders, including men, women, non-binary and transgender adults, and children of all ages. You can reach us using our 24/7, 365 days a year support helpline. Just dial 603-994-SAFE to connect with an advocate today. We also provide free online chat services on our website Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. except holidays. Haven, New Hampshire. Ending violence, changing lives.